the political football, which is being, I would say, thrown around on anything to do with crime, El Salvador, etc., it's very uncomfortable. It's a bit difficult for me to have too much of an opinion on it because I'm still one of these people who doesn't understand violence towards another individual. You're talking to somebody whose wife was attacked my wife was attacked while she was pregnant with our son. I also do not understand politicians who are attacked for trying to find out the facts. Have a listen to what went down on Rachel Maddow's show today. This guy is just trying to find out for himself as a representative what's going on, and he's been castigated. So as I said, maybe I'll step this one out.
High-level government officials from El Salvador. As I've said before, the goal of my visit is to talk to people here about the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I told his wife and his family I would do everything possible to bring him home, and we're going to keep working at this until we're successful. I also hope to have the chance to meet with him, but we'll have a better idea if that works out a little later on.
Senator Van Hollen landing in El Salvador today, hoping for a chance to meet with Kilmar Abrego Garcia in that prison. Senator Van Hollen says the vice president of El Salvador told him he would not be able to do that when he met with him today. Joining us now for the interview is Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland, who joins us from El Salvador. Senator, thank you so much for what you're doing and for being here with us tonight. I know it's been a very long day.
It has, Rachel, but as you said in the intro, I promised Kilmar's family that I would do everything I could to bring him home because, as you said, a court in the United States has determined that he was illegally abducted from the United States and landed in the most notorious prison in El Salvador. So that's why I raised these issues directly with the vice president of El Salvador. The president is not in the country now, so I met with the vice president to talk about these issues and ask for the opportunity to go visit Kilmar.
What's sort of the range of potential outcomes here that you think are possible? What are you hoping to accomplish on this trip? And how did those expectations match up with the experience that you had today meeting with the country's vice president and hearing what you did from him?
Well, my goal is to keep a spotlight on this issue until justice is done, until the 9-0 opinion by the Supreme Court is implemented by the Trump administration, which is ignoring entirely that order that they need to facilitate his return. I asked the folks at the embassy whether they'd been ordered by the administration to do anything to facilitate his return. The answer was no, so they're clearly not in compliance. And I said to the vice president of El Salvador, look, you've got somebody in your worst prison, the prison for terrorists, who the United States court has said has committed no crime. And so I asked him if he had any evidence that Kilmar was a member of MS-13 or had committed any crimes. And he said, no. So I asked him why he was keeping Kilmar in prison here. And his answer was that essentially the Trump administration is paying the government of El Salvador taxpayer money to keep this person here despite the court orders. So my goal, Rachel, is to make sure that we keep the spotlight on this issue because I think it's unsustainable. It's unsustainable to continue to keep a person who has not been convicted of a crime in the worst prison in El Salvador when the Trump administration admitted itself to a judge that this was a mistake. But instead of fixing the mistake, they fired the Justice Department lawyer who admitted it was a mistake.
I just want to underscore what you just said there, that you were told by the U.S. Embassy in El Salvador that they have received no request from the White House or from the Justice Department, from any other entity in Washington, asking them to take any steps to obtain the release of Mr. Abrego Garcia. Presumably, it's the local U.S. officials at the embassy there who would be the relevant point of contact, first point of contact for the U.S. government trying to attain that outcome, correct?
Well, that's exactly right. And it is pretty clear that the Trump administration has not lifted a finger to implement that court order. And so I think it's important that the courts know that, and they will know that. And again, denying his family an opportunity to even have a phone call with Kilmar is just a gross violation of basic human rights and human decency. And, I asked the vice president if I came back next week, whether or not I could go visit Kilmar. And the answer was no, he couldn't guarantee that. I said, look, I may be the first member of Congress here, the first senator, but I can assure you more will be coming. And you cannot continue to keep this man locked up in this worst prison in El Salvador and one of the worst in the hemisphere when he hasn't committed a crime. And so we're going to keep at this. And I asked the vice president just to let him out the gate, because you may remember at the White House, the president of El Salvador said, well, we can't smuggle Kilmar back into the United States. He said, you don't have to smuggle him back to the United States. We know you can't do that. Just open the prison door. And Attorney General Pam Bondi said the United States would send a plane down here. And if she doesn't, at least he would be free for now in El Salvador as we work to find a way to get him back into the court system and due process in the United States. Again, nothing.
You mentioned that other...
So...
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I think this is, of course, about the family and making sure the family gets justice. But it's also, as you say, about the Trump administration trying to deprive individuals in the United States of their liberty without any due process, right? This is like taking away people's freedom. That does not sound like a conservative idea to me. That is something that, of course, authoritarian governments engage in, and it's a very fast road to tyranny if we don't all stand up against it.
You mentioned the possibility, and now it seems like the likelihood that other members of Congress are going to make their way to El Salvador. Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey has expressed interest in going. Congressman Maxwell Frost, the young congressman from Florida, has formally requested a congressional delegation, a CODEL, to El Salvador. Given that a couple of Republican members of Congress who are supporters of what Trump has done using this prison have somehow gotten into the prison and been able to take photo ops there, given that the Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, was able to get in and do a photo op there. I wonder what you make of the El Salvadoran government sort of opening the door to allow Trump administration officials and Republican supporters of President Trump in there to make essentially social media content while still denying you the opportunity to get inside.
Well, you're right. That's clearly what's happening. I mean, you have the government of El Salvador, the president of El Salvador, make this deal with the Trump administration. I think it's $15 million that the Trump administration is going to be paying El Salvador to essentially take these folks from the United States who have been denied due process in the case of Kilmar. And again, Republicans seem to be happy to take photo ops at this site and celebrate the fact that the President of the United States is ignoring court orders and that the government of El Salvador is keeping this guy locked up who's committed no crime at all. So I do think, though, as we continue to put the spotlight on this injustice, that they ultimately will have to let him go. I believe.
What America is supposed to be about is you have a judicial system, and sometimes they rule for you, sometimes they rule against you. And I got to tell you, I am no great fan of the Roberts Supreme Court. They gave us this terrible decision on Roe v. Wade, on Citizens United, and other bad decisions. But we live in a rule of law. Donald Trump, obey the Supreme Court of the United States.
Just coming in here today and flying in, we got some very interesting news. Senator Sanders and I got some very interesting news. Here, Montana and Missoula, this is our last stop of the week after crisscrossing the entire country. We had 12,000 people in Idaho. one of the most Republican states in the entire country. We had 20,000 people in Salt Lake City, Utah. We started off with 36,000 people in Los Angeles. But last night, further north in California, in Folsom, which is also represented by Republicans, we had 30,000 people show up. Prior to that, we had visited Colorado, we had visited Nevada, we visited Arizona. And on the way here, we got a very interesting piece of news, which is that some of those Republican House members that we had visited, they just led a letter warning the Republican leadership, saying, we don't know if we can vote for Medicaid cuts now. That's you, Missoula. That's you, Montana. That's you, Colorado. That's you, Arizona. That's you, California. That's you, the people. We got them on their back foot. We got them scared. We got them running. But our job is not done. And we will rally every corner of the United States of America until we save Medicaid and Medicare for every American, until we defend Social Security, and we tell them who's really in charge in this country. So we are here for the long haul, and we will not stop until they actually vote no. We're not going to let them trick us with gestures and strongly worded letters. I want to see the no vote on the floor. That's the only thing we will accept.
All right, troops, I'm just going to go round, and welcome aboard the MAGA Carousel, where the horses are made of chaos, the music is a symphony of distractions, and the ride never ends. It goes round. Act 1, the Cabinet of Curiosities. In the first 70 days of the Trump administration's second season...
You know, when President Zelensky came to the White House, we heard a lot about what he was wearing. Oh my God, the precious Oval Office. He didn't wear a suit. I mean, here's a picture of Kid Rock in the Oval Office. He looks like he's about to jump over 10 buses, okay, when he's done on the White House lawn.
It's true. We've witnessed a cabinet that could only be assembled by spinning the wheel labelled...
Just yesterday I saw on television, on Fox News, you had this woman, Jeanine Pirro. Crazy thing about Jeanine Pirro is that she's from Westchester County, where I went to public school, and it's like, wow, how things have evolved there. Anyways, so Jeanine Pirro goes on television. She says, as though this is fraud, she says that they found so many babies and 2-year-olds and 4-year-olds who were receiving Social Security. I've got a notice for you, Jeanine Pirro. Those babies get Social Security because their parents died. That's not a waste. That's humanity. That's America. That's the country that we fight for. Those are the promises we make to one another. That is what it means to be in a civilized society. It's not waste. It is the best of us.
Pam Bondi, the former Florida... Well, she's now Attorney General, actually. All of us. Now serves, as I said, as Attorney General of America, the world maybe, because why not recycle? Pete Hegseth, once a Fox News whatever it was, now leads the Department of Defense. His qualifications, a penchant for sharing classified military plans in group chats. Or failed game show host, or T-Boo does game show host. Next up, the puppy killer. Kristi Noem, former governor of South Dakota, now heads Homeland Security. Her first act...
But she's had plenty of time to put on our cowboy breeches and our cowboy hat and ride on a horse fortunately not shooting any dogs on the way. She's had time to pose in front of people in prison in El Salvador, but she doesn't have time to answer a congressional request to state who have they arrested and who are the worst of the worst, and are they getting the worst of the worst. I have to presume her failure to answer is the fact that they're not getting the worst of the worst.
Second act, a third act, a fourth act, just to see how many times she can recreate her version of Lara Croft, because she cosplays whatever Homeland Security happens to be doing that day to get some attention on cable news and Elon Musk's X or Twitter. The tech mogul, by the way, heads up the Department of Efficiency. Dodgy Doge. His first directive, remember, that email he sent to federal employees demanding they report their weekly accomplishments or be resigned. Carolina Vitt is still there, by the way. What has she accomplished? Productivity through intimidation. Classic Musk. Confusion carries on. Act 2. Policies on parade. The administration's policies read like a dystopian novel. Right? Here you remember an executive order to end birthright citizenship, because rewriting the Constitution is just it's just another day's work in this administration, eh?
Are you on the side of a law-abiding immigrant building trades apprentice, a Central Valley farm worker, an academic worker, and even a grad student who is ripped away from their jobs and family without notice? Or are you on the side of a jackboot deportation forces that send them to foreign prisons without due process? No. I'm on the side of the fucking Constitution.
Tom Homan's incredible work and all the people that are working with them, there's a completely different approach. He told me these agencies are working together like he's never seen before in over decades of his career. FBI, ATF, Border Patrol, ICE, and many local law enforcement, all the way from city, county, and states, all across the country are working together to track down illegal alien criminals, cartels, and terrorists that are not just living at the border. Ladies and gentlemen, they're all inside the interior of the United States.
How about the KKK?
All inside the interior of the United States. You can head out. The protest is outside. Thank you very much. Protest is outside. Protest is outside. Bye. Have fun out there. City of Ackworth is doing a great job. They have an area for protests outside. Thank you so much. And we're having a good time on the inside.
MAGA firebrand Marjorie Taylor Greene held a town hall and ran into this: protesters outside and protesters inside.
Ladies and gentlemen, they're all inside the interior of the United States.
How about the KKK?
All inside the interior of the United States. You can have
Poor Wikipedia. A proposal to house migrants at Guantanamo Bay, bring about the detention center vibe with a tropical twist, kind of got rewritten as El Salvador. One-way ticket. The introduction of the Trump Gold Card, offering residency to those who invest $5 million, because citizenship should be a luxury. That should be a word that I can easily pronounce. There you go. I'm not going to spin around. I got around enough. Anyway, while the administration spins its wheels, distractions abound.
It's important to outline what's at stake with the federal funding, just to humanize it a little bit. Previous federal funding to Harvard helped fund childhood leukemia research that increased the survival rate from 10% to 90%. It helped fund key breast cancer research that extended the lives of women by 25%. It's just announced groundbreaking research on glioblastoma brain cancer patients. So we're playing politics with funding that's supposed to currently be going to Alzheimer's victims, stroke victims, diabetes victims, and that advancement can't wait for politics.
Scott?
Literally, Katy Perry's 3 minutes supper. Was it 11 minutes she went above Blue Origin or whatever, culminating in her kissing the ground upon return, and just so ground it overshadowed the brevity of the journey. Yeah, that's where we're doing with headlines these days. In the Trump administration, it's anything goes. Wendy's, the fast food chain, chimed in with a tweet, "Can we send her back?" Anyway, as the carousel continues to spin, one can't help but marvel at the spectacle. Oh, vomit. A cabinet assembled like a reality TV cast. It's true. Policies that challenge the boundaries of legality and distractions that make space tourism seem like a priority. And we haven't got to day 80 yet. In this mega carousel, the only constant is the chaos, and the only direction is round and 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 round. Have you had enough yet? Round and round. Buckle up. The ride has just begun. And there's actually no telling where this carousel will take us next. Oh, it's going to go round and 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 round.